regulators. We regulate any stealing of his property. We're damn good, too. But you can't be any geek off the street. Gotta be handy with the steel, if you know what I mean. Earn your keep. Regulators! Mount up.
Hello everyone and welcome to Rob's video blog. Today we will be talking about the zone defense in basketball. The zone defense is something I know a little bit about. It's something I'm quite passionate about. I played basketball from 3rd grade all the way through my freshman year of high school. Played a lot of zone defense, broke a lot of zone defense. Was very successful both playing and breaking it. Won the Suburban Catholic League championship 2 years, and my 8th grade year we went 23-0. And strangely enough, we played a little bit of zone and we broke a lot of zone, but we played a lot of man-to-man defense simply because we were just a much better team. But I'm here to talk about the zone defense and advocate for the zone defense. And before we dive in, let me give you a little history about the zone defense. The zone defense was first really implemented by a gentleman by the name of Frank Lindley in Newton, Kansas High School. He coached there for about 31 years and he won 10 state championships and came in 2nd place 7 times. He had a career record of about 600 wins and about 100 losses, so he was very successful. Contemporary guy who runs the zone defense, Jim Boeheim, obviously at Syracuse. They run the 2-3 zone. It's one of the best zone defenses run in all of college basketball. Jim Boeheim's been to 3 national championship games. He's won one of them back in 2008, strangely enough, with the horrible defender, Mr. Carmelo Anthony. He's also, I believe, 2nd all-time in wins as an NCAA coach, so very successful track record for that. The zone defense statistically is just gives up less points than man-to-man defense. That's been proven in professional basketball and collegiate basketball, and on also little bits of information in lower levels of basketball. It's been proven. In the NBA, before the NBA was actually merged back in 1946, I believe it was, the American Basketball Association had banned it, and when the 2 leagues merged, the zone defense continued to be banned. In 1966, I believe it was, they put an additional rule saying that a defender couldn't stand inside the key for more than 3 seconds unless his offensive player was there also. So not only did they ban the zone, but they also banned any real aspect of the zone, just kind of parking yourself in front of the net. In 2001, the NBA reinstituted a variation of the zone. Still a lot of restrictions on it. I believe you can't have more than 4 players, or you can't have all 5 players below the foul line unless the opposing team has at least 5 or 4 players below the foul line, something like that. There's all sorts of restrictions on it, but it was brought back partly. The main reason why they outlawed the zone is because it slows down the game a little bit, and it doesn't allow you to showcase your best players. Now, professional basketball is all about making money. I understand that. People want to see LeBron James go and throw down dunks and alley-oops and all that good stuff. It's fun to see. Not necessarily the most fun thing to go and see team offense, guys really swinging the ball around, moving, perimeter shooting. Personally, I like to see that, but supposedly that's not what puts butts in the seats. So they have they've outlawed real zone defense in the NBA. I'm glad to see that in college basketball, still very much in effect and is still being successfully implemented today. So. You'll hear a lot of things from people about zone defense that are a little troubling because they're not. A lot of people say, you know, zone defense, you should defense because you're not teaching them any good defensive techniques. Okay, because the only difference between a zone and a man is you guard a zone rather than one man. The techniques are exactly the same. The physical techniques are exactly the same that you teach. You teach a zone, the guy's not going to learn to play man properly. You're not going to learn the develop proper physical skills to defend. It's just not true. Another thing that people say is zone defense is lazy man's defense. You know, you can't apply as much pressure. You're not running around like a maniac. Well, that's true. You can't apply as much pressure, but I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. It's lazy defense. Playing zone's lazy. Let the other more work and win the game, or do you want to do as little work as possible and win the game? I don't care. I just want to win the game. So to say easy man defense or something like that doesn't even really mean anything. So let's just go over some of the pros and cons and the differences between man-to-man and a zone defense. Man-to-man defense, obviously you match up and you just defend one guy. There's lots of different ways to play. You could play full court press, where you're literally just chase the guy all over the goddamn place. You could play, a sag man-to-man where, you don't run out past maybe the top of the key or past the three-point line to chase your guy. And you can also play a sort of like a half-court man-to-man. What I mean by that is, if your player's all the way on one side of the court and the ball's on that side of the court, you don't go any farther than the half-court line. You stay between your man, the ball, and the basket at all three at the same time. But typically, man-to-man is just pretty basic. You match up a guy, you point to him, this is my guy, you guard him. If he goes by you and scores, it's your fault. I mean, it's pretty basic. Zone defense, you guard a zone. You have an area. If there's two guys in that zone, you're responsible for both of those guys. If there's nobody in your zone, you're responsible for still guarding the area, intercepting passes that come there, and possibly sliding to other places to help. Those are the two main differences. Man-to-man defense is very athletic intensive. You have to be able to match up well against the other team. In other words, if the other team has players that are faster than you or bigger than you, they can very easily exploit you. If you don't have someone quick enough to defend one of their guys, you'll have to double team him possibly, which leaves other guys open, or your guy will just get roasted. Or if the other team has a lot of taller players than you, they can exploit you that way with their height by simply isolating the tall guy, throwing the ball down to him, and letting him score all day. Again, you'd have to double team, triple team, do different things in your man to stop that. One of the positives of the man-to-man defense is you can pressure up and down the court, and if you are more athletic, you can usually generate more turnovers and you can just beat a team. I mean, just because you're more athletic, you're in their face all the time, you're putting pressure on them all the time. That is the advantage to the man-to-man. However, it's very rare, or it's not necessarily very rare, but it's not critical. If you're better than another team, you're more athletic, it kind of doesn't matter if you play a man or a zone because you're better. You're more athletic, you're going to win anyway most of the time. So to say like, oh, we should play a man because we're more athletic and we'll beat them by more points, it doesn't really make any sense. You're better than them. If you play your game, you should beat them anyway, whether you play a man or a zone. But if you're not as athletic as them, playing a zone can be much better because you're not going one-to-one with the guy. So if they have a speed demon, you have the whole team defending that one guy, not just one guy defending him and getting roasted. And also if your team is at a height disadvantage, maybe you only have one really big guy and you have three big guys. Well, instead of your one guy manning up to one guy, you put your big man right in front of the basket, and any of their big guys that come around the basket who get the ball, he's always there to defend. One of the other really good parts of zone defense is that your players typically, depending on the type of zone that you play, but your players are typically usually in the right position to rebound the ball because most zone defenses are predicated on putting your faster, smaller players along the perimeter and your taller, bigger, stronger, slightly slower players closer to the basket. So they're usually always in position to get a ball. You're not going to find a power forward out by the three-point line or a center up at the foul line or something like that. They're usually where they're supposed to be to rebound the ball. So that's one of the advantages. And whereas man-to-man is very athletic, there's a lot of running. Zone defense keeps your players with fresh legs, which is a huge advantage. I mean, if you have a short bench or you only have maybe 6 or 7 really good guys to play, playing a zone defense is great because you can save the legs of your good players and play them longer. And listen, if the other team's running twice as much as you are, when you're on the offensive end, you should be able to blow by those guys. When you get a rebound, you should be able to run the floor and get easy buckets. When you play a zone, you get the advantage of that. So that's pretty much just my my basic take and my basic rant on it. The next segment we're gonna go over the different types of zone defenses and how they're arranged, what players to put in what position, and how to break them. But before we do that, just another commentary on breaking the zone and breaking the man defense. Breaking man-to-man defense, you can use pick and roll. You can pick for the ball. You can not pick for the ball. You can pick away from the ball. There's tons of things that you can do, but it's really predicated on getting individuals open to shoot the ball or to dribble to the basket, or to penetrate to the basket. And that might seem like an obvious statement, but when you play a zone defense and you're trying to break a zone defense, there's no man that you're necessarily trying to beat. You're trying to beat the entire team. And the way you beat the entire team, the only way to beat the entire team in a zone defense, excuse me, is with good ball movement and good team offense. And the key to beating the zone is finding the weaknesses, attacking the weaknesses, and then when the defense reacts, sliding into the open space and distributing the ball. It's almost similar. It's kind of similar to the way you play soccer. You always hear soccer coaches, run to the open space, attack the weak point of the defense, make the defense react, and then run to the open space and distribute the ball to the open space. Well, it's the same thing when you try and break the zone defense in basketball. Requires a lot more team coordination, ball movement, that sort of thing than breaking the man-to-man defense. And that's why I think one of the advantages are. So when we run through all the zones, you'll see I'll show you how to identify the weak points, attack the weak points, okay, so there are 4 basic zone defenses, and I'm also going to cover 2 hybrids. There's other types of zones. There's kind of wackier forms of zones that I'm not going to cover in this. They're specialty zones. They're usually for full court pressing zones, or a half court trapping zone, which is a very exotic type thing. I'm not going to cover that. I'm just going to cover the 4 basic zones and then 2 hybrid zones. So blue is going to be defense and red is going to be offense. The first zone that we have is a 2-1-2. Let me put the basket in first. That's kind of important. Basket. Let's always keep in mind, you want to keep the guy from getting as close to the basket as possible. The closer to the basket, the easier it is to score. This concept is very often lost on people when they come up with the defensive schemes and they're teaching defense. Keep the guy from the basket. Shooting and scoring from out here is a lot harder than shooting and scoring from out here. Okay, with that being said, moving on. 2-1-2. The zone defenses are numbered, or they're called the way they are based on the different levels of defense. So a 2-1-2 has 2 players here, 1 player here, and 2 players here. Now the 2-1-2 is probably one of the most common defenses that is run in middle school and grammar school basketball. And sometimes you'll see it in girls basketball also, and girls youth basketball. And the reason for that is, as you can see, your defenders are packed pretty tightly together. They can be spread out a little bit more beyond the key here, but they're usually packed pretty tightly together, effectively guarding the basket here. And the weakness of the 2-1-2 is that it leaves the perimeter open for shooting. So in middle school and grammar school basketball, or in any basketball league where the players are not that good at shooting, 2-1-2 is very effective. It packs in the inside, keeps the offense from getting close to the basket, but gives them opportunities to score from the perimeter. Now the way to attack the, before we get to that, personnel, the 2-1-2 is perfect zone to play when you have a prototypical team. And what I mean by that is the 2 guards here, you have 2 guards, 1 center, and 2 forwards. That's your typical team. Now you can have 3 guards and 2 forwards, or 3 guards, a center, and a forward, or 3 forwards and 2 guards, or any permutation of that. But the typical balanced team has 2 smaller ball handling guards, a huge center that's kind of slow, and 2 types of forwards, maybe a small forward and a power forward. 2-1-2 works out perfect for that. The way to attack the 2-1-2 is to attack it in the weak spot, and the weak spot is in the middle here. And like I said before we went into all of these, when you attack a zone, it's all about causing the defense to react, and then you moving the ball to the open space and your player moving to the open space. So let's put some offensive players in here. So the easiest way to attack the 2-1-2 is to simply attack right up the middle. You attack right up the middle, you come into the middle. These 2 players have to pinch. If they don't pinch, you just dribble right through, pull up underneath the foul line, and take a nice 10-footer. You hit that all day, no problem. If they do pinch, then you have an option. Depending on which way they pinch, maybe this guy comes up here, maybe this guy comes across, maybe they both pinch in this way. But as they pinch, you should be able to distribute the ball to either winger here. And the winger should be stepping in to get as close as he can to the basket and to the key this way, but not so close that you can't pass it through the defender. So he's going to try and get as close to the basket as he can so that when he comes here, these two defenders pinch, the ball gets distributed, and he takes a nice easy jump shot from there. Again, easy jump shot. He should be able to make that sort of thing. That's the basic way to attack the 2-1-2. You want to attack the middle, then distribute to the wings. Attack the middle, distribute to the wings. You can try to attack from the side here. This is also an effective technique. It's essentially the same. I mean, the arrangement's not that much different. Usually the 2-1-2 is spread out a little bit more rectangularly than it is in a square, but it'd be the same thing. You kind of want to attack this way. You know, two guys might pinch, and then you can dish the ball up here. But the most effective way that I have found, because the basket is here and the defense reacts differently depending on which angle you attack the basket from, when you attack up the middle, two defenders pinch, you distribute to each one of the wings, and away you go. You can shoot here. If this guy comes across here, this guy should slide in, pass the ball here, scores there. This guy comes in to help distribute the ball, score there. So again, you can see you cause the defense to react, and by dribbling up the middle, you cause two defenders to react. Or even if you only had one defender reacting, you still makes it even easier to distribute the ball here for an easy shot or to get you moving. Another easy way to attack the 2-1-2 is to set a pick right here. Set a pick, this guy dribbles in, comes around the pick like this, and he pulls right up here, takes a nice jumper. Easy, easy peasy. You'd be amazed though how many grammar school and middle school teams have trouble beating the 2-1-2 for whatever reason. Pretty simple thing to do. Attack the middle, distribute the ball, and away you go. Okay, so the next type of zone is the 1-3-1. Just an editorial note about the 1-3-1. I think, aside from the triangle and two, the 1-3-1 is probably the shittiest defense you could play, in my opinion. Reason being, here's the basket. You have three defenders spread across here. You want to guard the basket. Again, the object is to get as close to the basket as possible. It's the easiest shot, it's the highest percentage shot, and you're kind of vacating the whole area to penetrate to get into here. However, a lot of teams and a lot of people have trouble breaking the 1-3-1 because they want to typically attack up the middle or attack in this direction. This is usually the path that you go to the basket. And as you'll see, the way to break the 1-3-1 is to attack from the corner. Most people don't think of that, but this is where the weaknesses are. You can see this is where the vacancies are here and here. There's vacancies here and here, but again, you're kind of far from the basket. You're real close to the basket right here and here. So this is where you want to attack. It's very simple. Bring the ball up the side here, distribute the ball down low, make the defense react. Make the defense react. Let's put some more offensive players in here just for illustrative purposes. Make the defense react. Distribute the ball here. Dribble in. This guy pinches, this guy pinches, this guy pinches. As this guy pinches, boop, pass it to the weak side, easy bucket. I mean, every time, easy bucket. If you dribble down here and this guy doesn't react, that's an easy jump shot right there. Boom, you score every time. If this guy comes down and this guy stays there, this guy slides in here, you dish the ball to here, another easy shot again. So the main key with to break the 1-3-1 is you just have to attack from the corner. You come up each side, attack from the corner. You can do a similar thing like you would on the 2-1-2 is you can have this guy bringing the ball up and you can set a pick on the backside here and go right around, go right to the basket. Real easy to do. I think it's pretty obvious why I'm not a big advocate of the 1-3-1. Some teams do play it. We played a couple teams that played it. We smoked them every time they played it because, in my opinion, just not a very good defense. But some teams do struggle with it because it's not intuitive to attack the basket from the corner. So that's the key to breaking the 1-3-1. Okay, the next defense is the defense made famous by Jim Boeheim's team, Syracuse Orange, is the 2-3. And the 2-3, set up exactly how you'd think it is, like this. And you'll see that the 2-3 and the 3-2 are a little bit more spread out than the 2-1-2. But if you ever play a 2-3 or 3-2, you'll notice that once the ball gets moving and players start moving around, the whole thing kind of starts to morph into a 2-1-2. You'll find a lot that as the ball comes in here and the ball comes in here, this guy ends up rising up here a lot more often than he initially gets set there. And it ends up kind of looking like a spread out 2-1-2. So it's not a whole heck of a lot of different. Usually the 2-1-2, as I said before, is used in grammar school. It's not usually used at higher levels because, again, you have to defend the perimeter. So that's where the 2-3 comes in. And then at any point in time, this guy can slide up and just kind of make it into a spread out 2-1-2. So just like the 2-1-2 attacking the 2-3, you want to attack the middle. You want to take the ball up the middle here, draw the defenders, and dish to the wings. If you come up the middle, they don't pinch. You come right in and you take your shot and you score. Same way to attack the 2-3. You can pick here, have the guy come around. You can pick here, have the guy come around. You can even pick on the inside and have him come around this way. That's a little bit harder to do. But yeah, pretty much same kind of thing. You want to set your guys here. Maybe you put a guy here, stick a guy in the, maybe stick a guy out here for to shoot a 3-pointer. Take some guys on the perimeters here. One thing to note is you only have 2 defenders out here, and there's really no one in the middle. This guy may step up at some point, but the upper portion of the key is very, very weakly guarded. So a way, especially if you're a decent shooting team, a way to break the 2-3 pretty well is stick a guy right here, parallel to the 3-point line with him, so that when this guy comes in here and this guy sags in as close as he can get, the ball either gets distributed around to this guy, or you just kick it right back here if you got a sharpshooter and he's wide open for a shot every time. A lot of times they'll have the guys in the 2-3 come way out here to defend this sort of thing. Again, dribble, penetrate here. This guy comes over, you dish here. If this guy comes out to defend here, he's open. If he comes to defend here, he's open. And remember, the key to remember when breaking a zone is all about ball movement. The ball moves way faster than any defender can move. So the second that you get an opening to pass it to a guy that's in an open space, you make that pass. The defense reacts. The player then has to fill in the open space where the defender just vacated, pass the ball to him, and you move on. But again, the weakness is the 2-3, come up the middle. Even if you come up the middle and they pinch and you can't get through, I mean, you could stick a guy right here. This guy can flash to here. You give it to him, he turns around for a little jumper. Boom, no problem. This guy crosses into the lane, pass to him, no problem. So that's how you attack the 2-3. The worst thing you can do in the 2-3 is go to the corner. Go to the corner. Obviously, this is where the strength is. There's nobody in the middle here. Again, this guy may come up and then it's a 2-1-2, and we just went over how to break the 2-1-2. Very similar to the 2-3. The 3-2 is very often run when you have when you have 2 really fast guys here and here. In the 2-3, where you had 3 defenders down here, typically this guy's the center and you've got 2 smaller forwards here and they cover this zone here and this zone here. These 2 guys out here typically are really fast. They're usually your smaller guys, your guards, and you run the 3-2 when the other team shoots the perimeter really well. This guy will cover everything in this zone right here and everything in this zone here. These guys are usually very, very fast. And usually the 2-3 and the 3-2 is run when you don't have a center, when you don't have one big man. There ain't no way you're putting your center here. And I mean, you could put your center here and you could put a forward here, but typically when you don't have a center and you have just maybe 2 forwards, you run you can run a 3-2. You can also pressure a lot in a 3-2. You can do a double trap because these guys come out this way. Best way to break a 3-2 is kind of similar to a 1-3-1. Want to throw the balls down here. I mean, these are the weak spots here, here, and here. So the way to break it is, again, dribble, penetrate to where you can, to this zone here. Draw 2 defenders. If you come here and this defender pinches, you can pass here if you have a good shooter to shoot a 3. Or you dribble here, he distributes here, he distributes here. It's all about ball movement. But you dribble, penetrate to here. Draw 2 defenders. If this defender doesn't pinch fast enough, you got an easy pass right in there. If this defender doesn't pinch fast enough, you got an easy pass right here, and you can keep running right there. So this guy has to pinch. If he doesn't pinch, you pass here, then you hit here, and then you can look for a guy in here. All about ball movement, all about identifying the weak spots on the floor. Weak spots in the 3-2, across the middle here, right here, and in the corners. You can even play the game here. You pass this, put a guy here, or put a guy down there, pass the ball, dribble, penetrate, draw, dish. He comes back out, pass there, dribble this guy in. This guy's got to come out. This guy's got to shift over. Now this spot's vacant. He may sag down. If he doesn't sag down, then he's got to sag in, pass it back here. You can always get somebody open. Move the ball, move the ball, move the ball. Draw the defense, move the ball, move the ball, move the ball. Okay, the next two that I'm going to go over is the box and one and the triangle and two. The box and one and triangle and two are hybrid defenses. They are partial zone, partial man. So the box and one is exactly what it sounds like. You make a box, and you got one guy that plays man-to-man defense. Box and one is usually used when the opponent has one really fast, really good, really dynamic player that you're having trouble stopping. Maybe you want to deny him the ball, just don't even let him get the ball in his hands. The other players are much weaker players. You'd rather them have the ball. You can very often play a box and one that way. I think it's pretty obvious where the box and one's weakness is. It's right here in the middle. If you got a good post player, I plop him right down there and just work the ball into the middle of the floor. Obviously, this is a man-to-man situation, so picking for the ball is a good way to beat the box and one. Another way to beat the box and one, the best way, in my opinion, to beat the hybrid zones is to just take this guy totally out of the equation. The less players on the court, in my opinion, the more advantageous it is to the offense. When you're playing one-on-one and there's only one guy, you only got to beat one guy. You don't even have to really beat him. You just have to get a half a step and you get a decent shot. So if you can take a guy out of a play, it's not a problem. So if you have somebody else that can handle the ball, or if these four guys can do okay, one of the easiest things to do is just run this guy off over here, take the defender with him, and now it's 4 against 4, and they're playing a box here. Work the ball in here. If you take this guy out, put him over here, and he plays man, this is pretty easy to break, in my opinion. Very easy to break. Now it's 4-on-4. He comes over here. Maybe he runs over here, and this guy's playing a man-to-man. Throws the ball back here. He dribble penetrates here. He pinches. He passes there. He passes there. If they don't pinch, he can pull up and shoot. If they don't pinch, he passes there. Bucket. Easy. Easy peasy. The key to the box and one is to take the man out of the situation and just play it like it's a 4-on-4 box, and you can beat it. The difficulty in doing that is usually the team plays the box and one because he's the only good player on the team. So you take him out of the equation, you put the ball in somebody else's hand, and the other 4 guys aren't that good. They may have trouble breaking the box, but that's that's a reality of the game. If you don't have a team offense and you only have one guy and they play a box and one and they can defend him pretty well, you're going to have trouble. Like I said, one other way to break it is to pick for the man with the ball. Send the guy here, pick, he comes across, and now you have 1, 2, 3, 4 on 4, but now your best player's got the ball. So actually, that's probably a better scenario, is to have this guy bring the ball up the court, set a pick for him coming back this way. Now your guy and the defender are tied up here momentarily, he's got the ball, and now it's a 4-on-4 situation, which is actually even better, because now the floor is open even more, and your best player has the ball in his hand. Now he can dribble penetrate, he can dish, he can pass, he can go in, do whatever he wants. So box and one, usually used when the team has one really, really good player. The best thing to do in box and one, in my opinion, is deny the best player the ball when you're playing defense. Because like I said, in this scenario, if he gets the ball and you set a pick, it's 4-on-4 and the best player's got the ball in his hand, you're kind of toast. So if you deny him the ball, that's the best way to implement the box and one, in my opinion. However, a lot of times the guy that you're playing the box and one on is their point guard. He usually gets the ball down here when they inbound the ball and he comes up the court, so he's always got the ball in his hand anyway. So that's a little bit about the box and one. Next one is a triangle and two. And my personal opinion of the triangle and two is it kind of sucks. I don't think it's very good defense. I've seen it played twice, and it's failed miserably both times. And I think there's really, you're going to see it's really, really, really easy to beat. just because just because of the configuration of it. Okay, so triangle in 2 is a triangle like this, and then 2 man-to-man defenders. So let's just put them here for now. Let me put this guy. Okay, so when you come down the court, it probably sets up a little bit like a 2-1-2, but ultimately, usually the triangle in 2 is usually 2 guards guarding, or 2 guys out guarding like this, and there's 3 defenders, and the 3 defenders want to stay around here. It wouldn't make very much sense to have these 2 guys play man-to-man and then have 3 defenders way out here at the top. That doesn't make any sense at all. So typically, triangle in 2 is played this way. My opinion, easiest way to beat, easy peasy way to beat triangle in 2, especially if these 2 are the defenders. Take the 2 guys that are being guarded one-on-one and put them right here. Put them right here. Because what does that do? Now, these guys that are playing man-to-man dutifully follow their guy down here. Okay? And now, what do you have? You have 4 defenders kind of standing in the same area, and you have 1 guy guarding this entire area here. You could do whatever the hell you want in here. This is like, that's too many people. This is, in my opinion, the triangle, no matter how you play the triangle in 2, all you have to do is take the 2 man players and run towards the other defenders and stay in their area. Because then you can do it either way. You could put both of these guys over here, and then they have 3 guys in one area. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. You can't really do that in a boxing match because there's only 1 guy. When you have 2 guys being man like that, all you have to do is take those guys, tell those 2 guys you run right at their defenders, and you flood that area with defenders. Now you have 2 of your guys on offense and 4 of their guys on defense defending, and you have 1, 2, 3 guys being defended by 1. You could do whatever the hell you want from there. I don't need to diagram it any more than that. Triangle in 2, in my opinion, crappy defense. Okay, so that's pretty much it in regards to the basic zone defenses and the hybrid defenses. There's a million other things you can do. You can press in a zone, you can trap in a zone, you can do, you can do anything. The possibilities are endless in that regards. But main thing is, zone defense statistically, less points are scored against the zone defense. It's outlawed in professional basketball because it slowed the game down. Not as many points were scored, and it required more team effort, more team coordination to win. So go out, teach the zone, use the zone, go out to your local playground, get a couple guys, play the zone, and I guarantee you will win. I guarantee you get people to play a halfway decent zone. They don't even need to be that good. A halfway decent zone, you will frustrate the hell out of people who play on the courts out there, because most people don't see it. Most people don't know how to break it. And like I said, most people are not consistent good perimeter shooters. You pack yourself into a tight zone around that basket, you're going to rebound well, you're going to defend well, and you're going to frustrate the other team. And more importantly, if you're like me and not in as good a shape as you were in high school and can't run around like I used to, you're going to save a lot of legs in the meantime. So you can have more fun, you can win more games, and you can compete with guys who may be more athletic than you. So that's it for the zone defense. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching, and I will see you next time.